So I still don't know what the problem is, but I'd like to take you through some steps to diagnose the problem. So one hypothesis that I had was like, oh, maybe the server is not running. So I can now, from the client, manually uh, try to invoke the server to see if I'm getting the reply, and I am. So the server is running, that's all fine. And then the other theory I had was, well, maybe the routing is not set up properly at this server, so maybe it doesn't know how to get to, for example, this address. So I can check that by doing IP route get and providing the address, and I can see that it knows, it has the path to reach that address, or at least it thinks it has. The router node will eventually drop this traffic, the replies, as they get to the router. But it should be generating some replies. And I can also look if maybe there's some filtering going on, and there isn't. So right now I have two hypotheses. One is that just these DNS queries that I am replaying are maybe not formed properly, and the node, somehow the server node, the server software doesn't know how to process them. So this is something that I'll have to dig deep into to diagnose. And then the other the other hypothesis I have is that there's still something wrong with routing, not something that I can immediately see, but I can test my second hypothesis if I can pretend that I have one of those IP addresses. So that's what I'm trying to do next. I'm trying to test the hypothesis that the routing is wrong by changing the way I generate. I'm going to just generate one query manually, just like I did here, but I'm going to try to use a specific IP address and see if I can at least see the query come to the server and server generate the reply. I found out that I can use dig with specific IP address, and I repeated my command. However, the dig won't let me issue traffic with this address because that address is not assigned to any interface on my node. So that's the beauty of the testbed, because I can actually fake this. I can assign the interface to my node in the following way. So first I look at, using ifconfig, which interfaces I have, and I can see that ETH2 is my experimental interface. And then I can do ifconfig ETH2 and then colon and then some number, let's say 1. And then I can give the IP address that I want, and I can say up. And I can see that this requires sudo, so here it is. And if I look now, that interface exists. And so let's try now and see if I'm going to get a reply. And you can see that I'm not getting the reply from the server. So let's look at the server. To see what is going on. And so we can see the query is coming, and I'm actually issuing the reply, and the router is probably dropping this, which is the intended behavior. This is what I wanted to happen in my server. And you can see that client is trying to reissue. This is the classic dig behavior. It will try 3 times before it gives up. So the good news is everything is set properly in my experiment. The bad news is this replay program seems to not interact with the server the way we would want. It seems to build the queries that do not get properly parsed by the server. So I'm going to have to dig in and really see how to fix this replay. But the experiment design part is finished, and we've successfully designed the experiment that we wanted. So in the next edition, once I debug this, we will see how we can now scale up this experiment, because as we saw, we need more than more than one client in order to replay a big trace.